Right now, social media is blowing up. Fresh rumors are spreading quickly about Jeffrey Epstein and the secret parties that keep coming up again and again in his emails. At the same time, people are talking about Ellen DeGeneres and her alleged connection to those events. Now many online users believe she might be trying to stay out of the spotlight and avoid the growing attention around these claims.
Mr. President, we are looking at an image of a portrait that looks to be you, Mr. President, in this blue dress. Can you describe this painting? And
he doesn't need to describe the painting. You just gave him a picture. What's your question?
My question is, are you familiar with this painting? Have you ever seen it in person?
I've never seen it in person.
In past public statements, as in 2017 speeches and interviews, you described Pizzagate as a baseless conspiracy theory, alleging you and others ran a child trafficking ring.
Online discussions claim that lockers found at some of these locations may have contained disturbing items and private records. However, authorities have never publicly confirmed most of these allegations. Even so, the mystery surrounding them has pushed a lot of speculation across the internet. Because of other shocking accusations floating around online, some people have also started pulling Ellen DeGeneres into the conversation. Recently, rumors have even suggested that she might be trying to avoid possible legal trouble, despite already spending time outside the United States. Back when Donald Trump returned to power and talked about releasing files connected to Jeffrey Epstein, reports said Ellen quietly left the U.S. and lived for more than a year in the English countryside. Later, she and her wife, Portia de Rossi, were said to have purchased a large mansion overseas before eventually returning to America. Of course, celebrities relocate all the time, so moving itself isn't unusual. But the timing caught people's attention. Many online users started asking the same question: why leave right when some of the biggest criminal cases in the country were supposedly about to come into the spotlight?
Want to get married, and how many kids would you want to have?
So, I'm like 17, so...
Would you rather have to be naked on stage? Answer Justin Bieber.
I have like little girl fans. I can't...
Imagine there was no laws. Imagine it wasn't like weird like that. Justin Bieber. I will squeeze your face.
No,
I will.
no.
I mean,
If you had to date one of us, five.
That was the moment when people online began connecting dots, whether those dots actually belonged together or not. The situation became even louder when the United Kingdom entered the conversation. Jeffrey Epstein had well-documented links to Prince Andrew, and that scandal shook the British royal family for years. So when Ellen DeGeneres moved to England, certain conspiracy-focused corners of the internet immediately started whispering. For them, it felt like another piece of a much bigger puzzle. Then, old clips of Justin Bieber from his teenage years suddenly started resurfacing online.
It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second.
People began revisiting old interviews where a 15-year-old Justin Bieber admitted on camera that some of the questions adults were asking him made him uncomfortable. At the time, most viewers brushed it off as nothing more than awkward celebrity humor. But looking back at those clips today, many people say the moment feels very different. What once seemed like a joke now makes some viewers uneasy, and it has led to renewed conversations online about how young stars were sometimes placed in uncomfortable situations in the spotlight.
What time would your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really? That early?
Yeah.
I could make that.
Yeah.
But I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party, though.
Uh-huh.
It'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
Mm-hmm. And then it will carry on there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then No, I mean the after party.
Mm-hmm. No, I know about them.
Ellen also...
During the early days of his rise to fame, Justin Bieber appeared several times on the hugely popular talk show hosted by Ellen DeGeneres. At the time, Ellen openly supported him and gave him a major platform, which helped bring even more attention to his growing career. However, some viewers who revisit those interviews today feel that a few moments seemed awkward or uncomfortable for the young singer. Clips from those appearances are now being widely shared again online, with people debating how those interactions should be viewed in hindsight. Adding to the discussion, Ellen has also been publicly connected in the past to Sean Diddy Combs. In recent online conversations and rumors, some critics have brought up allegations surrounding Diddy and claims about how young artists in the industry were treated. These discussions remain largely speculative, but they continue to fuel debate across social media.
Meeting on the gridiron between former President George W. Bush and Ellen DeGeneres to bring it into sharp focus.
It may not seem like a big deal for a celebrity to attend a football game, but I never leave my house, so it is a big deal.
Ellen DeGeneres also owned property in Montecito, California, an extremely wealthy community known for its high-profile residents. Famous figures like Oprah Winfrey and Prince Harry have also lived in the area. In elite neighborhoods like this, it's common for influential people to cross paths socially and financially. On its own, that doesn't prove any wrongdoing. However, much of the discussion around Jeffrey Epstein has always centered on access, who had connections to powerful circles and who moved within those same networks. Because of that, when people notice the same well-known names appearing in Hollywood, London, and even royal circles, curiosity for some quickly turns into suspicion. It's important to note that Ellen has never been charged with any crime related to Epstein, and no court ruling has connected her directly to his case. Most of the conversations circulating online remain speculation and unproven theories. Still, Ellen's public image has faced criticism before. One moment that surprised many fans happened in 2019, when Ellen DeGeneres and her wife Portia de Rossi were seen sitting next to former U.S. President George W. Bush and Laura Bush during a game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. The sight of those very different public figures sharing the same space quickly caught people's attention and sparked a wave of reactions online.
Something that happened this weekend. I know it's Tuesday. Sometimes I like to ruminate on things all day Monday so that on Tuesday you hear about it. This weekend I went to Dallas for the Cowboys game. And thanks. But during the game, they showed a shot of George and me laughing together. And so people were upset. They thought, why is a gay Hollywood liberal sitting next to a conservative Republican president? Didn't even notice I'm holding the brand new iPhone 11. But a lot of people were mad, and they did what people do when they're mad. They tweet, but here's one tweet that I loved. This person says, Ellen and George Bush together makes me have faith in America again. Exactly. Here's the thing. I'm friends with George Bush. In fact, I'm friends with a lot of people who don't share the same beliefs that I have. We're all different, and I think that we've forgotten that that's okay that we're all different. For instance, I wish people wouldn't wear fur. I don't like it, but I'm friends with people who wear fur. And I'm friends with people who are furry, as a matter of fact. I have friends who should tweeze more. And but just because I don't agree with someone on everything doesn't mean that I'm not going to be friends with them. When I say be kind to one another, I don't mean only the people that think the same way that you do. I mean be kind to everyone. Doesn't matter.
The internet reacted instantly. For years, Ellen DeGeneres had been viewed as a strong supporter of LGBTQ+ rights and a prominent liberal voice in Hollywood. Meanwhile, the presidency of George W. Bush was known for policies that opposed same-sex marriage and backed the military's don't ask, don't tell policy. So when photos surfaced showing Ellen laughing and chatting with George and Laura Bush at a football game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers, many people online were surprised. Some were simply confused, while others openly criticized the moment. Ellen later addressed the situation on her show. She explained that she believes it's possible to be friends with people even when they don't share the same political beliefs.
Not the biggest guy in the world, but you're not a pussy by any means. What was so bad about Ellen?
You know, it was psychological. It was like this thing where, you know, we go into the writer's room, we get to work at 9 a.m., and then we go right into her office. She had this big office, and we'd sit around, you know, there was like overstuffed chairs and like leather couches. Very cool. We sit there and drink cappuccino, and it was like a loving environment. until, like, I remember one time I made a joke about Justin Bieber, and she goes, "You know I love Justin Bieber," and it was like, "Oh, so nobody else can have a different feeling about Justin Bieber because you like him?" And then she iced me, and then every joke I would tell for 10 days, she would literally not react and look away and say, "All right, who's got something else?"
Wow.
And so it was this thing where she would push you out of the circle and then pull you back into and when she pulled you back into the circle, oh my God, hand on the leg, laughing at what you were saying. And so for me, it wasn't that big a deal.
Right.
But for other people that, had mommy and daddy issues, and she, when you're working 14-hour days and she's the boss, it becomes a very powerful dynamic. That person's approval starts to meet, especially when people are getting fired constantly.
Yeah.
Some critics found that explanation interesting, especially because a few people once associated with her later became convicted criminals. For some viewers, her message about maintaining friendships across political differences felt reasonable. For others, it was disappointing. Over time, that moment started to look like part of a larger pattern. Critics began pointing out how Ellen DeGeneres often moved comfortably within powerful circles, connecting with influential figures from very different political backgrounds. Then, in November 2024, Ellen and her wife Portia de Rossi reportedly left the United States and relocated to the United Kingdom. By that point, Ellen had already stepped away from daytime television after the long-running The Ellen DeGeneres Show came to an end, and she had largely kept a lower public profile. However, in August 2025, new discussions about her behavior behind the scenes began surfacing again in the media. A former writer from her show, Greg Fitzsimmons, spoke during a podcast interview and described his experience working with her as challenging, saying she could sometimes be difficult on set.
I just finished testifying in front of the House Oversight Committee. I did it for two reasons. First, I love my country, including our Constitution. And America was built on the idea that no person is above the law, even presidents, especially presidents, and that we should all live under the same set of rules. This kind of democracy requires every person to play their part. And I hope that by being here today, we can bring ourselves just a little further away from the brink and back to being a country where we can disagree civilly and we can search for truth and justice, and that it outweighs the partisan urge to score points and create spectacle.
To be clear, having a friendship with a former president is not a crime. Relocating to another country isn't illegal either. Workplace complaints are also very different from criminal accusations, and Ellen DeGeneres has never been charged with any crimes connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Still, in today's environment, public perception can sometimes carry almost as much weight as actual proof. People online have started re-examining everything: old friendships, past interviews, archived footage, and even years-old emails. A larger theme keeps coming up in these discussions: powerful individuals often move within the same social circles. Those overlapping connections can easily spark curiosity and speculation among the public. At the moment, Ellen is no longer hosting a daily talk show or interviewing A-list celebrities every afternoon on The Ellen DeGeneres Show. She has mostly stayed out of the spotlight while major controversies and political debates continue to dominate headlines in the United States. Meanwhile, another name that often surfaces in these wider conversations is former President Bill Clinton, whose past association with Epstein frequently becomes part of the broader discussion whenever the topic returns to the news cycle.
Very, very close to Jeffrey Epstein. She actually wrote a letter to Bill Clinton in 1995 that he should meet Jeffrey Epstein and talk to him about currency stabilization. So this is something that's been going on for a long time, and he's been very involved with this particular family, which it goes without saying has extremely deep ties to the state of Israel for an extremely long period of his career.
She approached me and she said that her friend was here. He was the King of America, and he was here with his friend Bill Clinton, and he owned his own island in the Caribbean, and his friend owned Victoria's Secret, and would I like to meet him, because it would be good obviously for my modeling career. So I went to the restaurant where they were, and it was Epstein, Clinton, Kevin Spacey, and about 3 or 4 other people. And it was a small group. And they all stood up while they were having dinner and shook my hand. And it was, and Bill Clinton actually held onto my hand for a very long time. It was very weird. And then they also invited me to actually go watch Clinton's speech. I was like, I obviously wanted to go watch the speech, and I did. And what I did notice was Kevin Spacey was filming all the students in the hall. And then after the speech, we went back to the hotel, and then they looked at my modeling portfolio. And the girls were sitting there, and Bill Clinton walked past and witnessed the whole modeling casting. And then Epstein looked at my modeling portfolio and said he thought I'd be perfect for Victoria's Secret, and he wanted to bring me over. And then, after that, his office started phoning, and Leslie Groff arranged to get me a visa and to get me to New York, and I was there within 3 weeks. But what I've started to realize is it was more like a syndicate, a club, because the properties, they were all very different in style. It was almost like they didn't all belong to one person. There's a lot more going on there.
According to his testimony,
Recently released files connected to Jeffrey Epstein included photos of Bill Clinton in a hot tub and swimming pool alongside women whose faces had been deliberately obscured. The images quickly went viral, and as usual, social media erupted, zooming in, slowing down the footage, and raising countless questions. Clinton later testified before a congressional panel investigating the Epstein case. He maintained that he had no knowledge of Epstein's criminal activities and insisted that he did not engage in any inappropriate behavior with the unidentified women pictured. Despite his testimony, some insiders and survivors have told a different story, keeping public speculation alive and intensifying the scrutiny around the case.
I don't think I ever knew the photo was taken.
Okay, and for those who can't see it, it's a photo of you in a hot tub. There's a person next to you here. Do you remember where it was taken? Where was it taken?
I'm almost sure that this taken, I think there's an adjacent photograph, which you probably have, that if people saw it, they would feel that someone was trying to con them showing this picture. But anyway, this picture was taken in Brunei. And we flew one night on the trip to Asia, the last very long leg.
You said we, who is that including?
Well, my whole team that was working on the AIDS issue, and Mr. Epstein was there, and Miss Maxwell. But anyway, we got to the end of the flight was Brunei. It's a tiny place, but a very wealthy one, and the Sultan of Brunei.
When asked about the photo, Bill Clinton had some very interesting reactions.
Just for the record, there's another picture that also shows this as part of the larger pool area. Do you all have that so that he can refresh his recollection with respect to that?
We should have it. It's quite enlightening. If you watch this,
yes, it's noted.
It'll give you a different feel.
Thank you.
Okay.
We don't have it with us right now.
Okay,
we do.
Thanks. I just wanted to make sure we knew the
And so were there other people in that pool or hot tub with you as well?
I don't think there was anybody in the hot tub. I hadn't forgotten that there was anybody in the hot tub, but it was big, but it was about.
Well,
he's asking in the pool
it appears
area.
There's this photo, there's a girl over here. Is there someone?
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
But he's also asking in the pool area were there other individuals.
I don't know who that is.
Okay, so you don't know?
No, and then there were other people in the pool.
Okay, so do you remember were they under 18? Would you know? No.
Were they part of your traveling party, he's asking you?
Yes, they were, I think. I think everybody there was part of our party. It was late at night and late-ish. I also believe that there was a Secret Service agent there at the other end of the pool.
Okay, and was this in public?
No, it was a hotel room, and the Sultan wanted us to stay there, and the water, this big pool, was on the same floor that there were several suites, so we went out, I swam around, I sat in the hot tub for 5 minutes, or whatever it was, and I got up and went to bed.
And then I have to ask this, did you engage in any activity with this person? Okay, thank you.
Clinton's testimony, the photos were taken during a trip to Brunei. He explained that he had been invited by the Sultan to stay at a hotel while he was involved in humanitarian work tied to the Clinton Foundation's AIDS initiatives.
They thought she might even be president, right? And then after, she lost to Trump in 2016, it dried up essentially. But also, in addition to the other philanthropies, you have the Clinton Global Initiative, which was allegedly Epstein's idea. According to his defense lawyers, he was part of the core team that developed the concept for the Clinton Global Initiative, which is kind of like a Clinton brokered Davos, World Economic Forum style meeting. And, they passed money around to, Ghislaine Maxwell's Terramar, for example, among other things. And so, Epstein was obviously very sought out in the not-profit world, arguably because he was very good at tax shelters. And a lot of these billionaires want to, get tax write-offs or not have to pay money in tax. And so, setting up these philanthropies the right way, when Epstein's background, going back to his time at Bear Stearns, was in tax evasion, obviously I think that points to why they were so interested in having him be involved in setting up their nonprofits. And there's also the fact that you had Epstein.
When questioned about the photo, Bill Clinton gave responses that many found striking and, in some cases, quite unexpected.
I have
another photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying from inside this room. Can you please advise me as to whether or not that's permissible and consistent with the rules, particularly given that we have asked for a public hearing? If there are photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying, can you please explain how that can
I'm done
occur?
with this. If you guys are doing that, I am done. You can hold me in contempt from now until the cows come home. This is just typical behavior.
We will go off the record.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
So I would like to understand how that's permissible.
Before the hearing was.
It doesn't matter. We all are abiding by the same rules.
I will take that down.
Yeah,
So
well.
I would like to take a break at this moment.
Yeah,
I'd like to have a conversation.
Done for now.
Clinton also admitted that he had flown on Jeffrey Epstein's private plane multiple times in the early 2000s, but he insisted that all those trips were connected to humanitarian work through the Clinton Foundation. He added that he severed ties with Epstein long before the crimes became publicly known in 2008. At the same time, Hillary Clinton testified that she did not have a personal relationship with Epstein. However, the newly released Epstein files appear to suggest a very different story, leaving room for renewed debate and speculation.
The secretary, as she is testifying, can you please explain how that
I'm
can occur?
done with this. If you guys are doing that, I am done. You can hold me in contempt from now until the cows come home. This is just typical behavior.
We will go off the record.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
So I would like to understand how that's permissible.
Before the hearing was.
It doesn't matter. We all are abiding by the same rules.
I will take that down.
Yeah,
So
well.
I would like to take a break at this moment.
Yeah,
I'd like to have
I'm
a
done
conversation.
for now.
But the story didn't end there. More recently, during a deposition, Hillary Clinton reached a point where she not only refused to answer several questions outright, but also walked out in visible frustration, leaving observers and the media buzzing about what had just unfolded.
Man, Elon Musk. He's always denied any close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, but they exchanged numerous emails trying to arrange a visit for Musk to Epstein's island in the Caribbean. In one of them, Musk goes on to write this: "What day, night will be the wildest party on your island?" Now, Musk has addressed those allegations directly on X. He wrote, "No one pushed harder than me to have the Epstein files released, and I'm glad that has finally happened. I had very little correspondence with Epstein and declined repeated invitations to go to his island or fly on his Lolita Express, but was well aware that some email correspondence with him could be misinterpreted and used by detractors to smear my name. I don't care about that, but what I do care about is that we at least attempt to prosecute those who committed serious crimes with Epstein, especially regarding heinous exploitation of underage girls." So this is the fullest picture we have, but only...
Both Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump appear in the Epstein files. None of them have ever been formally accused of any wrongdoing related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. Despite that, public interest and scrutiny remain intense. The investigation seems to be expanding, as recently released documents have revealed email exchanges between Elon Musk and Epstein. Even Musk's brother, Kimball Musk, is mentioned in the files, adding another layer to the growing web of connections.
A university student and part-time model when she was ensnared by Epstein in Cape Town.
I just turned 20 and it just seemed like my dreams were all coming true. Because, our family was struggling financially and I just really wanted to try and make a difference for my family. And I was dreaming of doing something like modeling.
Her first trip out of South Africa was to New York, where she says she abruptly found herself on the way to the Caribbean, sat next to him on his private jet to Epstein Island with the women he used to recruit her.
Basically, as the plane took off, he started forcefully touching me in between my legs. And I just freaked out and I suddenly realized, oh my God, my family aren't going to see me again. These people might kill me. I got such a fright. It was such a huge changing thing for me. And I suddenly realized I had to just be nice and be friendly because I realized that I was in great danger.
And he's assaulting you and the other women
and
there.
They were laughing. Yeah, they saw and they just laughed. So I was really, really petrified. And it really changed me, the whole thing, going through this. And I just didn't know what to do, and I just really thought that I was going to die.
Juliet wasn't the only victim.
At the same time, critics started highlighting a more troubling side of the story. Alleged victims connected to some of these high-profile figures have come forward, sharing accounts of the horrific treatment they endured.
If that's sufficient.
Thanks so much for having me, Caitlin. And the answer is no, it's not. They are not responding to the law. And at this point, I think it appears clearer and clearer every day that they are knowingly violating and willfully violating the law that we passed, that Donald Trump signed into law, requiring them to turn over every responsive document. And I want to be clear, just to clarify two things that I think you alluded to. One, Donald Trump is accused of assaulting a child in those memos that you mentioned. Two, that it's not just a few dozen documents that are not being turned over. Fully half of the documents that we're aware of, some 3 million documents, have not been turned over by the DOJ. They claim they fully responded, and yet we've found over and over again, and I can tell you that oversight Democratic staff have confirmed what you have found, that these documents are missing. They were not turned over, even though they were very clearly responsive to the questions that we asked. And this appears to be part of a very broad cover-up. And you may remember back last May when Pam Bondi reportedly told Donald Trump he was in the Epstein files. After that, there were a lot of reports that DOJ attorneys were being asked to go redact documents, to hide documents, to remove documents from the files that had Donald Trump's name. So we're definitely continuing to look at this, but it appears that the DOJ is willfully violating the law.
If these allegations are accurate, it could explain why some of the people involved are working so hard to present themselves as innocent. Failing to do so could have devastating consequences for both their careers and personal lives. But a recurring pattern emerges throughout this saga. Powerful individuals often call for transparency until their own connections come under scrutiny. At that point, the focus frequently shifts to context, timing, and interpretation. Meanwhile, certain files mysteriously go missing, adding even more uncertainty to the narrative. To be clear, no major figures, aside from Prince Andrew, have been formally charged in connection with Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. The files largely document correspondence and suggested meetings, not proven criminal activity. Still, in today's environment, public trust is fragile and eroding fast. The story continues to unfold, and everyone is watching closely. What do you think will happen next? Share your thoughts in the comments below.